Welcome to the Lend Academy podcast, episode number 111. This is your host, Peter Renton, co-founder of Lend It and founder of Lend Academy. Today's episode is sponsored by Wonder Capital. They are an online investment platform that allow individual accredited investors as well as institutions to invest in commercial scale solar energy projects across the United States. You can earn up to 8.5% annually. And of course, you're also investing in green energy, which is helping curb pollution and combating climate change. You can begin with as little as $1,000, and best of all, there are no investment fees. So if you're interested, go to www.wondercapital.com/lendacademy and you can find out more. This episode is being recorded in Shanghai, China. I'm here for Langdi Fintech, which is Lend It's annual Chinese event. Thought I'd take this opportunity to sit down with some of the interesting people here at the event. This and the next episode are both going to be recorded here in Shanghai. And for this episode, we've got someone very interesting. This is Timothy Lee, who is the founder of Fluid, which is a fascinating new company. And they were a finalist in our Pitch It event here in Shanghai. And they actually were the Lend It Choice Award for Pitch It. We were very impressed with what Tim's trying to do. So wanted to sit down with him, get him on the show to talk about what he's doing that is really, I think, very unusual, hasn't been done before. I think it's a groundbreaking product, and wanted to sort of dig into it, share with the listeners what his ideas are and how he's implementing them. And I think it's a truly fascinating story. Hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the podcast, Tim.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, so you've had a very interesting background. Seems like you've worked in many companies around this industry. So why don't you give the listeners a little bit of a background about yourself and what you've done?
Sure. I grew up in San Francisco in the late 90s and early 2000s. There was the dot-com boom. So I was actually involved in quite a few startups. We IPO'd twice with Endover.net and VA Linux, and also founded the startups while I was in college. So entrepreneurship is in my blood, so to speak. But my mother told me that I need to get a proper education and work in the corporate world. And so that's what I did. So I studied mathematics, San Jose State University, and applied mathematics at USC and Harvard, MBA later. My first corporate job was at Intel Corporation making microprocessors.
Really?
Then a gentleman from JP Chase called, I want to say 12 years ago, and said, hey, we have some issues at a bank that you can help me to solve, which is also a mathematical problem. At the time, my career was in high tech. So when he called, I'm like, well, I already bank with Wells Fargo. Thank you for no thanks, right? So that was my entry point really to financial services. But he presented me with an interesting problem where we needed to solve an optimization problem to how to allocate currency in all the ATMs, branches, drawers in a multi-denominational way, meaning 5 cents, 10 cents, 1s and 5s and 20s. So to me, it was a mathematical problem. That's what I was solving at school and at Intel to a certain extent. And I picked up on it, and I spent the next 6 years at JP Chase, learned and did just about everything in their retail bank. And that was my first foray into, I guess, fintech, where we spent a lot of money, energy, resources, and research to develop some really cool banking technology. So I love banking. I owe a lot of what I do today to my experiences of managing all the JP Chase's new account opening, online new account opening back in the days, 10 years ago. So a lot of the new stuff that we enjoy today, geolocation, IP device, fraud, identity checks, and things like that, all really came out of the bank 10, 20 years ago. So then I spent the rest of my time working with just about every online platform out there, either advised or launched. So claim to fame is that launched the Loan Depot's personal lending platform most recently, raised with Jefferies and Ellington over $500 million. Took me about 9 months to build it from scratch to launch. And after that, I've worked at Realty Mogul for a while, building out some of their back-end technology. So here we are, 2017. I started my new startups, which we're going to get into about a year ago, and I like to think that we've It was a tough year. No lies about it. Anybody wants to get into entrepreneurship in fintech, it was tough. It was a tough year for us, let alone some of the things that has happened in the NPL space in 2016. Right. So a lot of people are telling me it's the worst time to start a fintech startup. But this is what I know, right? I tell people if I sell shoes, I require training. But if I do online lending or online finance, I have a head start, so to speak. So that's my sort of education background, upbringing, and a little bit of my professional background.
Okay. So then let's just talk about your entrepreneurial journey over the last year and what some of the things you've started. We'll get into the main one in a little bit, but just talk about the different things that you've done.
So as an entrepreneur, I tried just about everything, right? Last year I landed, by the way, we're here in Langdi Fintech Summit right here in Shanghai, which has been a great conference so far. Last year, we did a joint venture with P2P Protect, Tongji Bao, out of Shanghai, and we're going to bring a shared risk platform to the United States. So that was it was something fascinating that I've been working on for the past year. We also created another company called Max Decisions, which is AI machine learning algorithm team to help other lenders in the United States to do better in pricing, underwriting, fraud detection, and portfolio management. So we have 20 active companies that we're working with, large and small. I'm not going to disclose who we work with, but there's a lot of people that needs our help, and we have about 10 people that are all PhD statisticians and PhD mathematicians that help all lenders to figure out what they can improve upon, again, whether in fraud, credit risk, or pricing. The main, I want to say my baby, if you will, is Cooper, or Cooper Financial. It is an online lending or finance company where we have multiple products. The product we're launching, I'm really proud of, is this product called Fluid. I've been thinking about this product long and hard. What is one product that is new in terms of business structure, product offering, and do good at the end of the day? So Fluid is what we're pitching here in Lended, and we're so fortunate to be picked as one of the finalists for the pitch competition. Any fintech entrepreneurs out there, I hope that's your ultimate goal, at least for the first couple of years of your journey.
Okay, so then why don't you describe Fluid a little bit and why you decided to start it and what problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah, this actually goes back to my presentation at Credit Ease, right, in Beijing, I think it was. Last year I was here, exactly same time last year, and I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I was just coming off of a pretty intense build with the crowdfunding platform that I mentioned earlier, and I thought about it for 2 hard months. The Lended China trip that I took last year was very eye-opening. In fact, my body went through a shock after the journey. I told my friend after I got back from Shanghai, I said, well, the Chinese, in terms of innovation, is about 10 years ahead of us, by my measure. But U.S. is 10 years ahead of them in terms of regulations and compliance. There's pros and cons of that statement there. So, long story short, I think everything that I was thinking about building, the Chinese platform has already built. So there's nothing really I can sink my teeth into. And if I look at home, it's somewhat saturated as well, right? There's a lot of large players out there in the personal SME factoring line, which is kind of what I know. What is it, the one thing that I can actually fixate on? So I started thinking about what is a fintech product that can really truly help people. I started doing some research, and out of the Dodd-Frank ruling, there was another piece of legislation called the Credit Card Responsibility Act of 2010. And the act did a couple of things, right? It pushed all the credit card companies and banks out of the on-campus advertising. the booth where they give out a little football T-shirts in exchange for a credit application. A lot of us got our first $500 credit card here in the United States from that. So now that's all deemed sort of illegal. The rule is written in such a way that's kind of funny. Is that none of these companies can be within 1,000 foot or yard of any university. It's kind of a predatory law. So, I visit a lot of banks, including Citi Ventures, and they're saying that, well, Tim, this is a great idea. We're trying to figure out a way to serve that segment better. In essence, they can't do it because of legislative pressure. So I said, well, what is our students' alternatives to build credit in college? I hear a lot of horror stories about finding out they have no credit after graduation. So when they're trying to refi their student loans, buy a car, even renting an apartment now, you have to put down a pretty hefty down payment if you have no credit, or credit is not.
And they'll do a credit check on you.
Exactly, that's right. Everything we do now involves a credit check.
Right.
And then I hear these folks are telling me that, well, I was struggling because my last year was spent in Europe doing an exchange program. When I got back, I had to restart my life in a way, and credit is one of the things I really needed. And they found these really unsavory products like secure cards and things like that, where you have to give them a couple $100s to start a credit card, and the activation fee is pretty horrendous. No less, come 100% kind of APR. So I thought there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to help our best and brightest minds of young folks, right? Generation. We give them a great education, academic speaking, but we sort of left them languished in the financial education, right? Financial literacy category. There's no credit card 101 or personal credit 101 that's being offered, unless you take some MBA classes, I suppose. So I said, well, why don't we build a truly unique product where we offer probably one of the, in my opinion, best financial product to really help students to build credit while they're in school. So while they're getting this great academic education, they're also getting a great financial literacy education from a company. So we created Fluid. We're offering a 0% personal loan to our students unsecured. You pay back in 3 to 6 month installment loans, and we report this activity to the credit bureaus to start helping students build credit. The mobile app delivers education content to students. And the way we're doing it is a bit unique as well. We're not telling our students what to do. Kids nowadays don't want to hear, somebody badgering about, their tidiness or their this and that and
you
this,
have to make
right?
a budget.
Make a budget, exactly. So the way we're trying to educate folks is in a passive way. We're telling students, hey, if the student goes to Caltech's average FICO score or credit score just went up by 2 points or 20 points. Keep going, Caltech, or student bodies on Caltech. Here's 3 ways to build credit, or to keep going. Make on-time payments, watch your spending, and check your bank account often for overdraft fees. Things like that. So we're not really telling, Tim or Johnny that, hey, you better do this and that and this. I'm attaching credit at this loosely connected university social network, saying Caltech has been doing this, and you're part of that average score or average whatever it might be. So tangentially, I'm pushing these education pieces in a psychological way to tie it back to the school, because people love their school, right? We have sports rankings, we have academic rankings. Why not a credit score ranking? So we're also publishing these, if you belong to a certain league, within the league, here's the top 1 to 13 average credit score. If you're in Ivy League, Harvard is this, Brown is this, Yale is this. So again, tangentially, I'm ranking all the universities by their average score. And because you're part of that, the student's part of that, they might pay attention to that. Right. So these are the ways we're trying to pump education pieces to students and get their attention on why it is important, how you can get it how you can build your credit, and avoid really, in my opinion, predatory products out there that end up hurting you, not helping you. So that is our central aim, to help students. And we worked really hard for the past 3 months to get ourselves ready for the new semester, which is going to be in August 2017. And recently we announced that we're going into 32 states. So now we have coast-to-coast coverage, and 90% of the population and 90% of the student population will be covered by Fluid. I think it's a great product.
So I want to actually dig into that, because you just sort of casually threw out there that this is a 0% unsecured loan.
Sure.
It's like I can hear the listeners going, "What the heck is going on there?" So why don't you just explain that, and how do you actually create a business that offers a 0% loan?
That's right. The simple answer is that Tim has gone bad. Right. The more complicated answer is that Fluid is really a platform to introduce different type of products to students. The 0% is a win-win situation for all of us. Student gets to build credit, Parents feel good about it, and it's a good way to introduce them to the Fluid brand. Within the Fluid platform, we will offer lifestyle products, such as 24-hour fitness or certain discounted sports arena membership and things like that. And we'll offer other insurance products or other sort of financial products in addition to just additional lifestyle products, because we understand their banking spending behavior, credit spending behavior. We will extract certain information off of their mobile phones to help us further understand their behavior as a future consumer, if you will. So we can advertise different products to students, and the mesh up between fintech and ad tech advertising technology is how we're going to make money or how we're going to make a business. So the loan themselves doesn't spit out an interest or doesn't spit out a coupon, but our debt partners are getting a revenue split, if you will, on the advertising sales.
Right, so it's sort of like like a Mint or Credit Karma type business, but you're, instead of sort of providing like a
free credit score
or anything, you're providing
an actual product that actually builds actual product that builds credit.
Right.
So it's actually useful for the students. So I think it's something that hasn't been done before.
No.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to see how a fintech, ad tech on a private sort of a social network, which is university-based network, could bring some fundamental changes and bring some fun back into fintech. If you will.
Come on, fintech's fun.
Fintech is great. Yeah, fintech's great. I love it.
But yeah, not everyone probably agrees with that. But so you're doing. I just want to dig into that a little bit. This 0% loan you're saying is up to $500.
That's right.
And it's a monthly installment loan, unsecured.
Right.
How I mean, you're reporting to the credit bureaus, so that, I mean, I guess the question then, you've really got to, I mean, I can see how the education piece is so key because, I mean, I remember when I was a student, I was pretty irresponsible in many ways. One of them was financial, but there was many other ways I was irresponsible. But I guess that's going to be the challenge, I imagine, where what are your projections about, defaults and
Sure.
that kind of thing?
We actually did a study with Equifax. We dive into the age band that we're interested in. The closest thing we can find is a student credit card, when we actually had student credit card back in the days. And if you look at their performance, if you look at a credit card performance, if the student does carry a balance, if you will, on a credit card product, it's anywhere between 10 to 15% of 90-day past due. So 90-day past due is essentially a charge-off. Anybody that works in the lending business knows that even if there's a 60-day delinquency rate, the percentage of that going to straight charge-off is pretty high. So 90 days is pretty certain. So I'm expecting 10 to 15% default rate. It's pretty high, but our average loan amount is really about $150 to $175. You can get up to $500 if you have strong credit, some established strong credit, and you have a healthy balance in your bank account. So we do risk-based pricing, and I take that back. It's 0%. So we do risk-based line assignment or loan amount adjustment.
Right. Okay.
So on average, it's $120, $150, $175. The expected loss rate, if you was $10 to $15. So my advertising revenue will first and foremost have to make up for that loss, right? And then make another 20% on top of that to break even. The beauty of this is that I can advertise multiple products, right, per student, not just one. So if I'm able to convert this lead to a SoFi or a common bond, for example, to put those sets of data, 2-3 semesters worth of data on a silver platter and hand it over to them, hopefully I'll command a slightly more premium on my leads than the regular lead generators out there.
Right. That makes sense. So one big question that comes up for me is how are you going to find these students? What's the plan?
We have online and offline marketing strategies.
You're not. Are you allowed? Because you're not really providing. Are you allowed to set up on campus? Or
we are not a bank. We're not a credit card company.
Right.
We're a credit education company.
Okay.
And the product we're offering, and that's why we're offering the 0%. Even if this comes into question, 0% interest rate, and it's uncollateralized, it's unsecured product, and you have 3 to 6 month flexibility to pay it back. And the goal of this product is really to build credit, right? Once the students have credit score and have some history, I can package this entire packet of information and send it over to the bank. I can introduce students to the bank as opposed to the bank coming out and look for students on campus.
Right.
So in fact, we have set up with, I want to say 6 or 7 university campuses already all around Southern California. When we go and interview with the campus organization, we tell them exactly what we're doing. So they underwrite us a little bit and they grant us to be on campus. So we have tons of little giveaways and little fun games for students to play. Hopefully they will download the app, learn what the app is about. And all of our staff are really excited because they believe in that 0% product is the way to go.
Okay. So I guess another question is around where are you at as far as, I know you've only just really begun, but can you share how many colleges, you said you're now in 32 states, 90% of the student population, but how long have you been live and what's your traction?
That's
there?
right. So we launched, I want to say about 3.5 weeks ago. We have over 22,000 downloads. It's gone viral a little bit because of the message that we sent out. So going back to the first question, we're in 32 states. It covers about 90% of universities. There are over 4,000 four-year colleges in the United States. Wow. A lot of universities. And if you count 2 years in the vocational and other schools, there are 10,000 universities. If you go onto our app, you can actually see all the colleges. We actually select which college you belong to or university you belong to. There's 10,000 universities on campus. So we are hitting all the population centers, obviously, to get us started. We've already done a college tour in 2016. We took thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of photos on every single campus that we're going to be on.
Oh, wow.
And that was a secret tour that our marketing manager took a lot of time, travel across the country, back and forth. So if you follow us on Instagram, search for us under Fluid App or Fluid Credit, you can see that we've been posting all the our branded messages on every single college campuses, known statues or certain famous buildings and whatnot. So we've spent a lot of time to really curate a message that we are all about credit education. We're all about on campus. We're all about getting into the university system and help folks to build. Mm-hmm. In fact, a lot of our staffs are young themselves, and they remember their experience as well. So when they talk to our customers on the phone, the chemistry it's already established in that sense. So I'm looking forward to this August or the fall 2017 semester. Again, we have on-campus presence in most of the Southern California. That's where we're based out of, and leverage that to do a online sort of on-campus, making quotation marks, kind of a marketing blitz online as well. So it appears that we're on campus in Southern California, which we will, and also on social media, we have these pictures already, photos already taken from last year to start plastering all over the internet.
Right. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the data analysis that you're doing, and you've talked about the importance of artificial intelligence in what you're doing. So, can you just explain how you're bringing artificial intelligence into play here?
Most AI algorithm we develop is really serving contextual and meaningful ads to students. I'll just state an example. For example, if I know that there is 10, 20 users, a Fluid user on campus, and last time I geolocated their phone, there seems to be together near a stadium or near a student union, right? These are all representative of certain events. So if I know they're near a stadium, the on-campus stadium, I can easily pump a cohort or group level advertising at the same time to that batch of people. So we know Amazon is clever, right? Amazon has made a name for himself delivering these custom advertising. Say, hey, Tim, you bought socks, you might be interested in shoes, or vice versa. But we're going one step beyond that. We're doing group real-time advertising. So everybody gets a alert on their phone saying that, hey, you're near the stadium. If you take another sort of loan with us, $20, $50, and whatever it might be, you can get a discount at the service station, or you can get a discount at this chain restaurant, which we already have established a relationship with. Or, if you go shop there, instead of $20, I'm going to give you $40, right? To encourage them to shop at our partners' facilities. But what is really interesting is that, when all these 10, 20 people gets the same ad, not only do they see it, they may be closer to each other to create a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And because I have this sort of loosely related social network in our app, there's bound to be peer pressure. So even if I see the ad, I'm not really interested in go to Johnny's hot dog stand or something like that. Somebody in your circle may want to.
Right.
And if somebody walks, as two of the guys says, hey, you know what, I'm going to get a hot dog, fine, I'll go.
Right.
So this is how we're going to deliver, this is how we're going to use AI to really drive the next generations of ad tech.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm most excited about. And that's just one of the examples of how we're going to create conversations in a peer group setting using these AI detection, so between mobile technology and also spending behavior, we mash it up together to deliver these contextual and meaningful advertising pieces to kids.
Right, and I imagine being if you're targeting college students, then they're not going to think that's creepy. Whereas if you try to target that to a bunch of 50-year-olds, they think that's kind of creepy.
Right.
You're here I am walking into, like a stadium.
How would they know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I think that's a great point because we take privacy very seriously. Everything we do is opt-in, sometimes double opt-in. So we think that younger Generation Zs that are born between 1996 and 2007 are more apt into, hey, you know what? Yesteryears was all me going to you. I need to go somewhere to get food. I need to go somewhere to get do laundry. I need to go somewhere to get my car washed. Now everything is coming to me. Mm-hmm. Uber Eats, you name it, right? They're coming to me to service me. So why not having advertising, meaningful advertising come to you?
Right.
When you need it, at the time of that possible consumption event.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about, right? So we're gonna, in essence, I'm delivering this on-demand advertising, but with a meaning and context. Mm-hmm. And to a certain extent, I'm offering them a $50, $100, $125 loan. Now they have a little bit of spending power, right, to buy the hot dog and buy that.
And it's 0%, so what's not to like?
Right, exactly.
It doesn't cost them anything, really. It's just, in some ways it's a win if you pay that back. You have the money to loan. There's no time value of money, and you're...
Exactly, and we report that to the bureaus to build your credit.
Right.
So, I get chills talking about this stuff. I think it's really, really fun, but, the proof's in the pudding. This semester is going to be really interesting, and hopefully in April 2018, when we do Lend It San Francisco, I may have some really interesting results to share with everybody.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So I just want to clarify. I want to become clear on. You talked about having other fluid products mm-hmm. or other products you want to offer. What are some of the things? I mean, that you're talking about?
Yep, there are products that we just don't understand, like selling electric bikes, for example. Or selling other goods. We're not in that kind of a distribution channel, but there's certain things such as identity protection. Say that fluid customer or student is borrowing $500 to pay for that plane ticket to travel abroad, either during summer vacation or to study abroad. More than likely, what's top of their mind is that what if I lose my wallet? What if my credit card gets stolen? We may offer a identity protection program mm-hmm. For I want to say, $5.99 or something like that for that trip. So those are the things we're talking about or thinking about. And if we do ink these deals with travel agencies, if you book travel with your peers during the summertime, we may even offer some kind of a peer group or shared risk insurance offerings. And how that works is that, let's just say that 20 people are going on this trip. Each one of you guys pitch in $10. To insure each other. In case somebody gets sick or somebody has an emergency that needs to come back to the United States, the insurance will pay out to pay a portion, if not all, of the plane ticket, the emergency plane ticket to bring that student home. But if nothing happens, which is the majority of the case, everybody's happy and everybody got home, then we will return 85 to 90% of that premium you paid back to you. No insurance company is doing that. Right. We always buy insurance when we flight for $12.99 or something like that. We kiss that goodbye at the end of it, right?
Yeah,
Nothing really happened.
It's an expenditure. It's
exactly.
Not back to you.
Exactly. So that's another way for us to introduce a little bit of flavor of insurtech, right, onto this platform as well. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that I want to build. that's beneficial, and at the end of the day, making that business work. So peer-to-peer insurance or shared risk platform, identity protection, anything that's around what students might worry about when they go into the brave new world, right? We may want to have a branded product as a lead-in for them to.
Okay, we're just about out of time, but I wanted to get just some idea about where you're taking this and what your goals are. Like, I know this is your first academic year. You're going to be live. So if we're coming back to Shanghai next year and we're sitting down, what are some of the metrics that that your goals would be of what you'll have achieved in the last year?
So here are my measures. I need to have 5% of the incoming freshmen to use my product, just to download it. And 2% of the existing student body to download it, and a certain percentage use that across about 1,200 campuses. My ultimate goal is to have 300,000 active users that are monitoring their credit, try out new products that are tailored to their need, to make it work. I don't want to build anything small, Peter. So 300 active users. My projections, I'll get there in about 18 months, but that is based on some really hard marketing. We're going to have to slough through a lot of the marketing, put a lot of marketing effort into this. But what I'm sort of betting on is virality. If this thing takes off, right, it could be a hockey stick, and I might get to that 300,000 active users very quickly. It's sort of a good problem to have, but I got to be prepared for that kind of stuff. My ultimate goal is, no joke, is to become Snap Credit.
Right. Okay.
Right. All of the social networks out there, Facebook included, they've either tried it or don't want to get into it. But I think this is a great platform for us to redesign a portion of this product into a chatbot, that could be integrated into Facebook, or a sort of a thumb interaction on Snapchat to get a small credit for the student population. So that's what I'm hoping for, to become a Facebook credit or a Snap credit. That's why I'm building this thing at the bank grade level, build some social network behind it, so there's multiple ways that these social platforms might be interested in doing a partnership going forward.
Right. Yeah. Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay. Thanks for coming on the show, Tim.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Have a good day.
See you.
Bye.
So this whole 0% thing is really interesting to me, and obviously it's a very different business model to pretty much everybody else in the marketplace lending space. But if I could see, it makes perfect sense, and you're really not you're generating revenue in a similar way, as we said, to like Credit Karma or Mint, where you're making money on the referrals that you provide. So I think it's time will tell, obviously, if this is an idea that has legs, or it's just one of those ideas that cannot become financially sustainable. Clearly, I imagine if there is scale here, it would be, to me, it's all about acquiring the customers, acquiring all of his students, and becoming this sort of viral kind of viral app that can bring in customers very, very cheaply, because that's going to be the key. Well, I'll certainly be following Tim with interest, and I think it's going to be fascinating to see if the whole this 0% $500 or less loans is a product that can be a really great lead gen for the industry. Anyway, on that note, I will sign off. I very much appreciate you listening, and I will catch you next time. Bye. This episode was brought to you by Wonder Capital. Invest in solar energy projects across the United States. Earn up to 8.5% with a $1,000 minimum investment. The CEO, Brian Bursick, was recently on the Lend Academy podcast, episode number 104. If you want to learn more, you can go to www.wondercapital.com/lendacademy.